My husband has been dead for 3 months, and his family is trying to kick me out. It's been less than 3 months since my husband passed away, and my sister-in-law is already urging me to vacate the room. Sister-in-law, I'm not trying to kick you out, but your brother wants to renovate that bedroom of yours. It'd be better if you cleared it out early so we can start the work. Besides, now that Ace is gone, it's not really appropriate for you to keep living in your husband's family home, is it? My mother-in-law, who was holding her bowl, paused for a moment, pretending not to hear. My brother-in-law kept his head down, eating in silence, not saying a word. Seeing that I didn't respond, my sister-in-law added, "Don't take this the wrong way, sister-in-law. I'm just worried people might gossip about you." I finally looked up at her. "Thanks for your concern, sister-in-law, but I'm not afraid of gossip. After all, the owner of this house is me." "Thanks for your concern, sister-in-law, but I'm not afraid of gossip." My tone was flat, and I even managed a small smile. The smile on my sister-in-law's face froze, and the displeasure in her eyes was almost palpable. She opened her mouth to say more, but my brother-in-law, who had been silently eating, suddenly coughed. "All right, we're eating. Why bring this up now?" My sister-in-law shut her mouth, shot me a sharp glare, and then clattered her chopsticks and bowl loudly against the table. Ignoring their expressions, I picked up my chopsticks and slowly continued eating the food on my plate, saying nothing more for the rest of the meal. The only sounds at the table were the clinking of bowls and chopsticks. Late that night, I woke up terribly thirsty and went to the living room to get water. As I passed by my sister-in-law and brother-in-law's bedroom, I overheard their conversation. Look at her attitude. Completely unreasonable. It was my sister-in-law's voice, urgent and angry. I was thinking we could clear out that room of hers and give it to Xiaoyu. But now? She's clearly planning to stay forever. What else can we do? My brother-in-law's voice was subdued. My brother just passed away. If we kick her out now, what will people think of us? We'd be drowned in gossip. So we're just supposed to let her live here for free forever? My sister-in-law's voice rose slightly before she quickly lowered it again. Your brother's gone. What's she still doing here? My fingers tightened around the water glass. Then I heard my brother-in-law again. We can't kick her out, but we can make her leave on her own. Tomorrow, go find out how much it costs to rent a bedroom in this neighborhood. Starting next month, we'll charge her rent. This house belongs to our family. We can't let her live here for free. Even if we can't kick her out yet, we can at least make her pay. Charge her rent. My sister-in-law paused, then laughed. Now that's a good idea. What if she refuses? My brother-in-law chuckled coldly. Talk to Mom. Get her to go along with it. She's always listened to Mom before. Standing outside the door, I smiled to myself. What a clever plan. Living in my house, eating my food, using my things, and now they want me to pay rent? And on top of that, they're trying to kick me out to make room for their daughter? I turned around and slowly walked back to my bedroom. Back in my room, I pulled the house deed from the bottom drawer of my nightstand. Flipping it open, my name was clearly printed on the first page, Qin Jiu. This 1,800 square foot apartment, with its great location and bright layout, was bought for me by my mother before she remarried and moved abroad. When Ace and I got married, I didn't ask him to buy a house. He just moved in here with me. In the second year of our marriage, his brother and sister-in-law lost everything in a failed business venture. Desperate, they showed up on our doorstep with their child, crying and begging for help. My mother-in-law sat nearby, wiping her tears, and my husband, soft-hearted, begged me to let them stay. Even back then, I found it cramped, 3 generations, young and old, all squeezed into one house. It was far from convenient. I offered to rent a 2-bedroom apartment for them nearby, so we could all have our own space. But my sister-in-law immediately pulled a long face and said, with thinly veiled sarcasm, "Sister-in-law, don't take this the wrong way, but a woman should know how to manage a household. We have a house here. What's wrong with squeezing together a little? We can manage. Why waste money renting someone else's place?" My brother-in-law chimed in, "Ace, does your wife look down on us poor relatives?" At the time, I didn't want to make things hard for my husband, so I let it go. But now, less than 3 months after my husband's death in a car accident, they're already trying to push me out and take over my house. It's only now that I realize, when they say the family home, they mean it's theirs. Looking at my name on the house deed, I thought about their conversation just now. I pulled out my phone, took clear photos of every page of the deed, and uploaded them to the cloud as a backup. When I was done, I hid the deed in an even more secure spot. The next evening at dinner, I'd barely taken 2 bites when my sister-in-law began sighing dramatically. "Oh, our factory's been doing so poorly lately. Weren't even paid this month. Household expenses are piling up, and we can barely keep up." My brother-in-law immediately jumped in, frowning. "Same here. Work's been slow, and payments are delayed. I don't have a cent to spare right now. We can barely scrape together Xiaoyu's extracurricular class fees." My sister-in-law glanced at my mother-in-law and continued, "Mom, you do the cooking. Have you noticed how expensive groceries are lately? I went to buy vegetables after work today, and a bunch of greens was 8 yuan. The cost of living just keeps going up. For low-income folks like us, it's really tough." My mother-in-law, holding her bowl, murmured in agreement, "Yeah, it's gotten more expensive. Life's harder these days." Seeing that my mother-in-law had taken the bait, my sister-in-law quickly shifted her focus to me, forcing a fake smile. "Xiaoyu, you see how tight things are for us right now. With all of us living in this house, expenses are high. How about starting next month, you chip in some rent? Nothing much, just 3,500 a month." Before I could respond, she added, "Sister-in-law, I know it's not easy for you either, but you don't have kids, so your financial burden is lighter than ours. 3,500 shouldn't be too hard for you, right? Think of it as contributing to the family. Don't you agree, Mom?" "Yeah, Xiaoyu. Maybe you should listen to your sister-in-law and pay a little rent." I set down my chopsticks, looking confused. "Sister-in-law, why would I need to pay rent to live in my own house? Besides, I've been covering all the utility and property fees for this house every month. Not once have I asked any of you to contribute." I turned to my mother-in-law, my voice tinged with grievance. "And Mom, every month when I get paid, I leave you 2,000 yuan to help with household expenses. After that, I have to cover my own living costs. Where am I supposed to find extra money for rent? It's not that I don't want to help the family, but I genuinely can't afford it right now. You all know that when Ace had his accident, we used up almost all our savings on his medical bills. And the driver who hit him had no money to compensate us. It's been dragging on forever. I'm really strapped for cash now." As I spoke, tears began to stream down my face. The dinner table fell into an uneasy silence. My sister-in-law's face went from red to pale. My brother-in-law frowned, staring at his plate, saying nothing. My mother-in-law's eyes reddened, and she lowered her head. I had lost my appetite. Pushing back my chair, I retreated to my room. What I'd said at the table was only half true. When my husband was hit by a drunk driver, we did drain our savings on his medical bills. But later, insurance covered a large portion of it. I wasn't nearly as broke as I'd made myself out to be. That night, I was drifting off when I heard raised voices from my sister-in-law and brother-in-law's room, mixed with the sound of a child crying. "Didn't you say Mom would talk some sense into her?" My sister-in-law's voice was sharp with anger and tears. "Now I'm the bad guy, the one bullying her." My brother-in-law's voice was equally heated but quieter. "Keep your voice down. Don't let her hear." "I hope she does hear. Maybe then she'll get the hint and leave." How was I supposed to know she'd react like this? I thought she'd at least compromise for Mom's sake. Who knew she'd be so stubborn? So what now? We can't get rent out of her. Xiaoyu's about to start elementary school, and she still doesn't have her own room. She can't keep squeezing into our room forever. I didn't bother listening further. It was just more of the same, pointed remarks and complaints about me. I turned over, closed my eyes, and went back to sleep. A few days later, I had a half-day off after finishing fieldwork in the morning. Without letting anyone know, I came home early. As I opened the front door, I noticed my bedroom door was slightly ajar. Through the gap, I saw my mother-in-law hunched over, rummaging frantically through my nightstand. "Mom, did you find it yet?" "The house deed, it's big and red. It should stand out." My phone was lying on the pillow, speakerphone on. My sister-in-law's voice came through loud and clear. "Not yet. I've searched everywhere, but I can't find it. Look harder." My sister-in-law's tone grew urgent. "Ace is gone now. You only have Jerue as your son. Who else will take care of you if not him? Once we transfer the house to our name, we can properly support you in your old age. If you can't find the deed and the house ends up belonging to Qin Jiyu, our family of 4 will have nowhere to live, and your future won't be comfortable either. I stood at the doorway, watching the scene unfold with cold detachment. My mother-in-law's hands trembled as she spun around, meeting my gaze. Her face went pale. Flustered, she fumbled to hang up the phone, her lips quivering. Jiyu, why you're back? She stood there at a loss, her eyes darting away like a child caught doing something wrong. Looking at her, a pang of sadness hit me. I sighed softly. Mom, even if Ace is gone, I've always thought of you as my own mother. Without waiting for her response, I walked past her into my room and closed the door. That evening, I didn't join them for dinner. Thinking I wasn't home, their conversation in the living room became unrestrained. Mom, can't you even find a simple house deed? What good are you? My sister-in-law's criticism was blunt. I really looked everywhere. She's hidden it too well, my mother-in-law replied meekly. How big could her room be? My brother-in-law sounded annoyed. Look again tomorrow. It's got to be in a drawer or cabinet. It can't have vanished into thin air. I barely slept that night. The next morning, I slipped the house deed into my bag, took it to the office, and locked it in my desk drawer. Unable to find the deed, they turned to other schemes. A few days later, my sister-in-law called me after work. Jiyu, come home early tonight. We have something important to discuss. When I arrived, I found a stranger, a man in his 30s, sitting on the living room sofa. My sister-in-law eagerly pulled me over. Come, Jiyu, let me introduce you. This is my cousin from my mother's side. He's honest, has a stable job, and owns his own house and car. The man smiled at me. I ignored him and fixed my gaze on my sister-in-law. What's this about? Her face plastered with a fake smile. She didn't mince words. Jiyu, now that Ace is gone, you're still young. You can't spend the rest of your life alone. Why not remarry while you're still young? Find someone to rely on, someone to take care of you. My cousin here is a really good man. He'll treat you well. I laughed bitterly. Ace hasn't even been gone that long, and you're already trying to find me a new husband? Isn't that a little inappropriate? My brother-in-law immediately scowled. What's inappropriate about it? We're doing this for your own good. What kind of life is it for a young woman like you to be widowed? For my own good? I sneered. Or is it to get me out of this house as soon as possible? My sister-in-law shot up, pointing a finger at me. This is the Qin family's house. It's only right that you leave. We're introducing you to someone because we want you to have a future. Don't be so ungrateful. I'll make this clear, my brother-in-law said sternly. Either you remarry or you move out. Otherwise, don't blame us for being harsh. I took a deep breath. Let me make one thing clear, this house. Before I could finish, my mother-in-law, who had been standing silently nearby, suddenly collapsed. Mom! Everyone screamed. When the ambulance arrived, the paramedics said only one family member could accompany her. Without hesitation, I climbed in. At the hospital, the doctor quickly examined her and said, "There's nothing serious. It's just excessive worry and emotional stress." Her blood rushed to her head, causing the fainting spell. The elderly woman has a lot on her mind. Try to be accommodating and avoid upsetting her further. We'll run some tests tomorrow. If everything's normal, she can be discharged. Hearing that it wasn't serious, my sister-in-law sidled up to me. Jiyu, Xiaoyu's home alone. I need to get back. My brother-in-law quickly added, I've got things to handle too. We'll leave Mom in your care for now. We'll come first thing tomorrow to relieve you. Watching their eagerness to leave, I didn't argue. I simply nodded. Fine. Go ahead. I'll call if anything changes. The next afternoon, a nurse asked for my mother-in-law's ID and medical insurance card. I realized I'd forgotten to bring them. I called my brother-in-law and sister-in-law multiple times, but no one answered. Left with no choice, I went home to get them myself. When I reached the door, I pulled out my key and inserted it into the lock. But no matter how I turned it, it wouldn't budge. The key was stuck and I couldn't pull it out. The neighbor from next door opened her door to take out the trash and noticed me struggling. Casually, she said, "Jiyu, didn't anyone tell you? Your sister-in-law had the locks changed this morning. That old key won't work anymore." My heart sank. Change the locks? What did this mean? I immediately called my sister-in-law. A second later, I heard her phone ringing clearly from inside. She was home. I pounded on the door. "Sister-in-law, open up." There was a pause, then some movement. After a while, my sister-in-law yelled through the door, annoyed, "What are you banging for? Mom's still in the hospital. Why aren't you there with her? What are you doing back here?" Suppressing my anger, I said, "Why did you change the locks on my house without permission?" "Your house." She scoffed, her tone dripping with self-righteousness. "Qin Jiyu, get real. This is the Qin family's house. It's A's house. Now that A's gone, it belongs to the Qin family, to us. I can change the locks whenever I want. This house was bought for me by my mother," I said, raising my voice. "The deed has my name on it. From start to finish, it's your family that's been freeloading here. Don't try to fool me." She refused to believe me. "This house was bought by A's. Now that he's gone, you have no connection to the Qin family. Why should you keep living here? Get lost." "I'll ask you one last time, are you going to open the door or not?" "No. If you've got the guts, stand out there all day." I took a deep breath, stopped wasting words, and dialed 3 numbers. When the call connected, I said calmly, "Hello, I'd like to report a crime. Someone is illegally occupying my house." Less than half a minute after I hung up, the wail of police sirens grew closer and stopped downstairs. Soon, 2 uniformed officers came upstairs. Peeking through the peephole and seeing real police, my sister-in-law's face changed. She quickly opened the door, her expression instantly shifting to one of exaggerated grievance. "Officers, you've come just in time," she said, pointing at me with a tearful voice. "This is my sister-in-law. My younger brother-in-law just passed away, and she's already been acting improperly outside. Now she's here causing trouble, trying to take over our family's house and kick us out." The officers looked at her, then at me, their expressions serious. "Who called the police?" "I did." I stepped forward calmly. "Officers, I made the call. This house is mine. The deed is in my name alone. While I was away, they changed the locks without permission and illegally occupied my home. I demand that they leave immediately and restore everything to its original state." "You're lying," my sister-in-law shrieked, practically spitting in my face. "This house was clearly bought by my younger brother-in-law, Qin Yanzi. It's the Qin family's property. She's trying to steal our family's assets." "Officers, don't listen to her. If you say the house is yours, do you have any evidence?" the older officer asked me matter-of-factly. "I have the house deed," I said. "The deed?" My sister-in-law seized on this, as if it were a weakness. "Then show it. Show it to everyone right now if you have it. Anyone can talk big. I could say this house is mine too." I looked her straight in the eye and said, word by word, "I don't have the original deed with me right now." "Huh." My sister-in-law acted as if she'd won a victory. She straightened up and raised her voice even more. "Officers, did you hear that? She says she has the deed but can't produce it. Isn't that proof she's lying? She's just taking advantage of us." "I don't have the original with me," I interrupted her tirade, pulling out my phone from my bag and calmly unlocking it. I opened my photo album. But I took pictures. "Officers, you can take a look." I turned my phone screen toward the 2 officers. High-definition photos. The bright red cover. The words People's Republic of China Real Estate Ownership Certificate were clearly visible. I zoomed in on the inside page. Under Owner, my name, Qin Jiyu, along with the property's location and size, was displayed in full. My sister-in-law's triumphant expression froze. She lunged forward, her eyes fixed on the screen, muttering, "No. Impossible. This is fake. You photoshopped it." "Whether it's fake or not, it's easy enough to verify by checking the real estate registry," I said calmly, pulling back my phone. "If you'd like, I can call a colleague right now to bring the original deed, which is at my company. Or we can go to the real estate registration center together and request a verification." The room fell silent for a few seconds. "No, this can't be," my sister-in-law repeated, but her confidence was visibly crumbling. Her eyes darted nervously toward the interior of the house. Just then, hurried footsteps echoed from the stairs. My brother-in-law came running up, panting. Clearly, he'd been notified and rushed back. Seeing the police at the door, his face tightened, but he quickly switched to an ingratiating, nervous smile. "Officers, this is a misunderstanding, all a misunderstanding." He fumbled in his pocket for a crumpled pack of cigarettes, but the officers waved him off. He awkwardly withdrew his hand and rubbed his palms together, explaining, "This is my sister-in-law. We're family. Just a little family disagreement. No need to trouble you two. We can handle this ourselves. Really, no need to bother the police." "Family disagreement?" I looked at him. "Mr. Chin, your wife didn't seem to think so earlier. She said this is the Chin family's house and has nothing to do with me, Chin Jiyu. She told me to get lost. And while I was away, she changed the locks on my house without permission. That's a legal entry, a public security matter. It's not something you can just brush off as a family disagreement." My brother-in-law's face flushed red and pale. He shot a fierce glare at his wife, then turned back to me with a placating smile. "Jiyu, look, why be so harsh? Your sister-in-law is uneducated and doesn't know how to talk. Don't take her seriously. We're still family after all." "Who's family with you?" I cut him off, my voice clear in the hallway. "My husband, Chin Yenza, has passed away. Legally, I have no connection to you anymore. I'm no longer obligated to care for his brother, his sister-in-law, or his mother." I turned to the two officers, my tone firm. "Officers, my request is clear. This house is my legal property. By changing the locks and occupying it without my permission, they've infringed on my rights. I demand that they vacate my house immediately. If they refuse, I will pursue legal action." The two officers spoke quietly for a moment. The older one then spoke, his tone serious. "We understand the situation. First, changing someone's locks without permission is wrong. Since the deed shows this house belongs to Ms. Chin, she has the right to decide who lives here. If you're living here and the owner asks you to leave, you should comply. We recommend resolving family disputes through discussion. If that's not possible, you can pursue legal channels. Do both parties understand?" Yes, we understand. We'll comply." My brother-in-law nodded vigorously, making endless promises. "Rest assured, officers, we were just confused. We'll move. We'll find a place and move as soon as possible." My sister-in-law tried to say something, but was sharply tugged by the arm and fell silent. After completing routine documentation and instructions, the officers left. As soon as the police were gone, the hallway returned to just the three of us. The pretense of harmony evaporated instantly. My brother-in-law's ingratiating smile vanished. He looked at me, sighed, and softened his tone. "Jiyu, look at how this turned out. We really didn't know the house was yours. A's never made it clear. We always thought he bought it." "Exactly." My sister-in-law immediately chimed in, though her tone was less aggressive now, her eyes avoiding mine. "If we'd known earlier, we wouldn't have done any of this. It's all a misunderstanding, just a misunderstanding." I didn't respond. I just looked at them. My brother-in-law rubbed his hands together, putting on a pitiful, helpless expression. "Jiyu, even if the house is yours, we were still family once. Mom's still in the hospital. If we move out now, where will we find a place on such short notice? And even if we do, we need to pay a deposit and 3 months rent up front. Money's tight for us right now. Xiaoyu's about to start elementary school, and expenses are piling up everywhere." He sighed, continuing to play the victim. "I know we were wrong before. We didn't think things through. For Mom's sake and for Xiaoyu's sake, she's just a child, can you give us a little more time? Once Mom's better and we find a suitable place, we'll move immediately. We won't overstay our welcome." My sister-in-law quickly added, Yes, sister-in-law. I was wrong before. I apologize. Please be generous and don't hold it against us. We promise we won't bother you anymore. We'll just stay quietly. Is that okay?" Looking at their groveling faces now, compared to their earlier aggression and lock-changing schemes, I couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of irony. "No," I said flatly, leaving no room for negotiation. "You." My sister-in-law's face darkened. I said calmly, my gaze sweeping over them, "How you live is your problem. This house is no longer open to you. 3 days. I'm giving you 3 days to move all your things out. After 3 days, I'll change the locks. If anything of yours remains inside by then, I'll consider it abandoned and dispose of it. Chin Ji-yu. Don't go too far. My sister-in-law shrieked. 3 days? Where are we supposed to go in 3 days? You're trying to ruin us. Yeah, Ji-yu, 3 days is too short. My brother-in-law also panicked. Too short? I smiled faintly. When you changed my locks this morning, did you give me any time? When you were scheming to kick me out and take over my house, did you give me any leeway? Either you move out on your own within 3 days, or we'll settle this in court. Then, not only will you have to move, but you'll also have to compensate me for my losses and end up with a criminal record. Your choice. With that, I ignored their ashen faces and stammered protests and walked away. Behind me, I heard my sister-in-law's suppressed curses and my brother-in-law's irritable scolding. I knew they wouldn't leave easily. Playing the victim, stalling, acting shamelessly, these were their go-to tactics. But I'd already given them a chance and exhausted the last bit of goodwill I had left because of A's. It was time to solve this problem my way. I didn't wait the full 3 days. I contacted a friend who works in real estate. I had one request: sell the house as quickly as possible. The price could be slightly below market value, but the buyer had to be someone capable of dealing with difficult tenants. My friend understood immediately and smiled. Don't worry, I've got you covered. I actually have a client who fits your requirements. Soon, he brought a buyer. His surname was Hu, Brother Hu, as people called him. He was in his 40s, with a buzz cut, a stocky build, and a thick gold chain around his neck. He didn't talk much, but his eyes had a certain sharpness. He came with 2 equally silent companions to inspect the house. Brother Hu looked around and was satisfied with the property. The price was negotiated smoothly. When I hinted that the current tenants were troublesome and might require some persuasion, he just grinned, revealing teeth slightly yellowed from smoking. Don't worry, Miss Chin. I'm good at reasoning with people. He patted his chest. My guys and I will handle the paperwork with your agent. As for the tenants, I'll take care of it. I'll make sure everything's cleaned up nicely for you. After signing the letter of intent and receiving a deposit, I never went back to that home. I rented a hotel room near my office and moved all my important belongings and documents there. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, I received a tearful call from my sister-in-law, her voice trembling with panic. Chin Ji-yu. Did you sell the house? She was practically screaming. A few men showed up today, looking like thugs, saying the house belongs to them now. They told us to get out immediately. Was this your doing? Yes, I said casually, leaning against the window of my hotel room, watching the traffic below. It's my house. I can sell it whenever I want. Is there a problem? How can you be so cruel? You're trying to destroy our family, she wailed. They threw all our stuff outside. They said if we don't leave, they'll use force. Chin Ji-yu, come here and talk to them. You can't sell this house. Come quickly. I told the new owner to give you 3 days to move. You didn't listen, I said flatly. Now the house no longer belongs to me. I have no say in how the new owner handles this property. Whatever issues you have, take them up with Brother Hu. Chin Ji-yu. You venomous woman. You'll rot in hell. You. The phone erupted with shrill curses, but then I heard a male voice barking something. My sister-in-law's screams abruptly stopped, replaced by terrified sobs and pleas. The call ended. I felt no sympathy. When they were rifling through my mother-in-law's room for my house deed, when they changed my locks without permission, when they plotted to kick me out and take over my home, they should have foreseen this day. The next day, my real estate friend called, laughing. Miss Chin, the house is empty. Brother Hu works fast. That family moved out overnight. They didn't dare leave anything behind. Brother Hu asked if you'd like to come by and inspect. I went. The house was empty, restored to how it looked when my mother first bought it. Only the walls had a few scratches, and the floor showed some stains. All the clutter that once filled every corner, the Chin family's belongings, had vanished without a trace, as if they'd never lived there. Brother Hu was leaning against a bare wall, cigarette in mouth. When he saw me, he nodded. All cleared. Take a look and see if anything's wrong. Thank you, brother Hu. Sorry for the trouble, I said. No problem. He blew a smoke ring. My assistant will handle the paperwork and the final payment. The house, he glanced around, is nice. Within days, the transfer was completed, and the final payment was deposited into my account. I had severed all ties with the house that once held my brief marriage and, even more so, my suffocating memories. I thought that was the end of it. But I underestimated my sister-in-law's capacity for irrationality and shamelessness. A week later, I was in a meeting at work when a receptionist hurried in and whispered urgently, "Jiu, there's a woman downstairs claiming to be your sister-in-law. She's causing a scene, crying and cursing, saying awful things." Security's struggling to hold her back. My heart sank. Excusing myself to the manager, I went downstairs. Before I even reached the lobby, I heard sharp wails echoing through the area, drawing stares from employees. "Everyone, judge for yourselves. Look at this vicious woman." My sister-in-law was sitting on the floor, hair disheveled, slapping her thighs and wailing dramatically. "My brother-in-law just died, and she's already taken up with some man, kicked our whole family out and abandoned her sick mother-in-law. She stole the Chin family's house and sold it for cash. She's trying to destroy us." When she saw me, she became even more unhinged, pointing at me and shrieking, "Chin Jiu, you ungrateful wretch. A's body isn't even cold yet, and you're treating his brother and mother like this. Are you even human?" Colleagues and passers-by whispered among themselves, their eyes starting between us. I walked up to her, unfazed, and calmly said to the security guards, "Call the police. Report someone causing a disturbance at my workplace, spreading lies, and severely disrupting office order." "Call the police? You still have the nerve to call the police?" My sister-in-law jumped up, lunging at me, but the guards held her back. "I'll tear that face of yours. Let everyone see what kind of trash you are." "The law will decide what kind of person I am," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Every word you just said is slander. There are cameras here, plenty of witnesses. Go ahead." I pulled out my phone and started recording. "Keep going. Tell me, evidence of me taking up with some man? Evidence that I stole the Chin family's house, whose name is on the deed. Evidence that I abandoned my mother-in-law, whose name is on the hospital bills. Who rode in the ambulance with her? Should I pull up those records now?" My sister-in-law was stunned by my rapid-fire questions, her eyes starting nervously. But her mouth kept running. "You're so slick with words. It's you. You're the reason we're homeless. You'll rot in hell." The police arrived quickly. After assessing the situation, they prepared to take her away. Panicked, she struggled and shouted, "I'm not going. What right do you have to arrest me? I'm her sister-in-law. This is a family matter." "We'll determine whether it's a family matter at the station," the officer said matter-of-factly. "My husband has been dead for 3 months, and his family is trying to kick me out. It's been less than 3 months since my husband passed away, and my sister-in-law is already urging me to vacate the room." "Sister-in-law, I'm not trying to kick you out, but your brother wants to renovate that bedroom of yours. It'd be better if you cleared it out early so we can start the work. Besides, now that Ace is gone, it's not really appropriate for you to keep living in your husband's family home, is it?" My mother-in-law, who was holding her bowl, paused for a moment, pretending not to hear.